Artist Jim McNeill is an illustrator and an animator, currently living in Arizona, Glendale. Holds a BFA from the School of Visual Arts, New York City. He's a freelance illustrator whose clients have included Popular Science, Macy's, Metro Creative Graphics, the British American Chamber of Commerce, Philips Lighting, and the Gerson Institute. McNeill's artwork has been exhibited internationally in the Fiera Internacional de Mueble de Valencia exposition in Valencia, Spain. That's a mouthful I barely could get out. And in the Society of Illustrators' 48th annual exhibition in New York City. McNeill is also the animator illustrator for Crystal Productions' award-winning Dropping In On video and book series, which you saw many examples, and includes all as subjects Henri Rousseau, Grant Wood, Andy Warhol, which, by the way, won the Silver Remy at the 2007 Houston International Film Festival. Romare Bearden, Grandma Moses, Impressionists, Renaissance artists, and Puffer learns about ceramics. I gotta see that.
Oh, that's the one that almost killed me. It's epic.
Besides the Dropping In On series, Jim has created a variety of other art resource materials for teachers, including the award-winning how-to video Tessellations, How to Create Them, and the book Tessellations, The History and Making of Symmetrical Designs. Jim is a frequent speaker and a workshop presenter in schools, at state and national art education conferences. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's start with a few questions. What is your favorite word?
This one, it was immediately a very hard one, a very hard question, because I am an enthusiastic reader. I've got a lot of favorite words, so it was very hard to narrow it down. But I was reading an article about bringing words back into usage that have fallen out of circulation, and there was one that I thought that would be really great for today's world because it means pretending to work, and it's fudgel, F-U-D-G-E-L. And I actually discovered it when I was fudgling around on the internet when I should have been working. But so I think if we can all go forth and start using fudgel for the people that are pretending to work around us, we can bring it back.
What would be your least favorite word?
This one was easy, dude. I can't stand dude. And if we're going with anagrams, you know, it was kind of a stretch, but if I could take every L and O key off a keyboard in the world so I'd never have to see another LOL, I would do that in a second.
What turns you on?
Pursuing my interests. It's essentially, that's kind of been the theme of my life, pursuing the things that make me curious. And it not only just for the enjoyment, but it's actually kind of been the thing that's structured my life. You know, going after the things, all the stuff that you saw here happened not because I was looking for work or, you know, looking to pay the bills. It was just trying to figure out if I could do this stuff. I mean, that was where the whole video series came from. So that has always been my favorite thing.
What turns you off?
That'd be politics. I cannot stand politics. They're the most energy-sucking thing in the world. I just can't stand it.
What sound or noise do you love?
Music. And I need music very badly. And it's funny because I need it when I'm working as an illustrator. I really, as a matter of fact, this week was a perfect example of that because I had a quote-unquote emergency job that came up on Tuesday afternoon that had to be finished by Wednesday afternoon. And it was stress-inducing, to say the least. And in order to kind of keep myself at an even keel so that I could actually get through the job, I had to listen to a lot of, you know, my more mood-altering kind of music. So it kind of really calms me down. The soundtrack of my places I'm working is just, it's a very strange kind of combination of me with, you know, kind of yelling stress-induced obscenities at the top of my lungs with this very kind of relaxing soundtrack in the background. But it ends up being the combination that gets the work done.
Didn't you tell me once that you played guitar once upon a time?
Oh yeah, that's been the other kind of pursuit of my life. Again, pursuing the things that make me curious. I started out in drums in 5th grade and played them all the way through high school. Then switched to the guitar, jazz guitar. Then switched off to an instrument called the Chapman stick, which was a very interesting instrument to play. But then went back to rock guitar, and now I am currently playing the piano. So I've been playing the piano for about 3 or 4 years now.
Wow.
Well, you haven't heard me play. That wow might be wow.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I may sound like a broken record, but political rhetoric is just, kind of talking head talk. It's just a perversion of language as far as I'm concerned. I just can't stand it.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
It took me a while to come up with this because really, what I do for a living is so much involved with my identity that it would be very hard for me to be something else without being a completely different person. But the other thing that I could think of that I would kind of like to do would be to be a writer, I think, because it's kind of a similar kind of lifestyle to what I have now, but also, writing instead of drawing. And, it's also been another one of my interests in life. I've always loved reading, and I always enjoyed writing whenever I've had to do it. So.
Well, you're the kind of art, of course, that you are engaged in most of the time is kind of a storytelling.
That is very true, yeah.
And the writer part, storytelling.
Sure.
So I can see that.
No, that is very true. There's a narrative line to all of it,
What profession would you not like to do?
Boy, just about everything else is tied for first in that. I just, I was coming up and making the list for that. Like sumo wrestler and just about everything else I would just rather not do.
If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like him to say, don't worry, it's not as boring as everybody says it is. We don't just, lay on clouds. We don't just strum harps. We don't just kind of polish our halos. It's 10 times more interesting than the Earth was, but there's no traffic. There's just absolutely no traffic at all.
Let's talk a little bit about the genesis of some of your ideas. What went on in your mind before developing Puffer that led to the development of that character?
You see, we were looking, when we were kicking around ideas for this series, we were looking around, we were kicking back and forth the idea of having a boy and girl kind of narrating, which would be very identifiable for the audience that we were looking for. But logistically, it would be really problematic because I would have to animate 2 characters. If we wanted to do a boy and girl, just a boy or just a girl would be too exclusionary, and we start getting into ethnic considerations and everything. And so it started to get we should probably just do anthropomorphic animal. And it was essentially just looking through. I have a huge swipe file at home that I've been collecting ever since school. And so I went through my gigantic animal file, and I was just looking through a horse, a zebra, an eagle, whatever. And I came across a couple of, it's actually kind of a little macabre because the reference that inspired Puffer was at a National Geographic where hunters kill puffins and then put them on sticks to attract other puffins, so they have dead puffins sitting there. But I hadn't read the caption. I was just looking at the puffins and thinking, oh, that's cute. Maybe we can do a puffin. And so I started drawing, and really within the first 3 or 4 thumbnails that I drew in my sketchbook, I was like, yeah, this could be it. Now, one of the great things about doing the series is, with my illustration work, I'm always working solitary. It's just me. All the ideas have to come out of me. But what's so great about doing the video series is collaborating with Pam and kind of bouncing ideas across each other.
What's her name again?
Pam Stevens, Pamela Geiger Stevens. She's
Pamela Stevens.
Yeah.
And she does a lot of the writing.
She does all the writing.
All the writing for books or the videos.
Exactly.
Does she construct part of the storylines?
We really, it's a bouncing back and forth.
Okay.
It's why we work together so long and so happily together, because we really kind of just add on to each other's ideas. And that's what happened with Puffer, because she was in a big Charlie Chaplin mode at that time, which is what inspired his hat. And also, it essentially inspired the essential theme of the series. I couldn't show any animated stuff, but it starts out with Puffer, who always needs landing lessons, literally dropping in on the artist, and crashing through things. And that came directly from her Charlie Chaplin enthusiasm. So, like, we have, not pictured here because our deal ran out with the Picasso estate, but we did dropping in on Picasso. And when he drops in on Picasso, he drops in on a bike and ends up coming out with the handlebars on his head, and that ends up being the inspiration for his bull's head. So, you kind of work it into his history.
Perfect, perfect. What advice would you give a young artist? I know a lot of young artists today are looking at the digital media, unlike in my day when we were still looking at traditional materials and traditional methods. What would you suggest to a youngster coming up and now being surrounded by all of this technological materials and stuff?
It always comes down to drawing, because drawing to me, it kind of transcends the medium. It's not, people sometimes think of drawing as a medium, but really I always think of Milton Glaser, the great designer. He had a quote, "Drawing is thinking," and it really, it's a form of visual thought, And to me, it always comes back to a pencil and a piece of paper, and really, I always think of people kind of originally thinking of it as design, because you're really designing the structure of things when you go with drawing. So I would be, no matter what kind of medium you want to end up using, and my example of going to your light drawing class all these years, the reason why I do that is because I need it, regardless of what I'm doing with the computer, because the computer isn't going to draw anything for you, regardless, no matter how impressive the surface effects are, they are just surface effects. In order to really come up with the structure of good art, it still comes down to drawing. Those things just never go old.
Questions from the audience? In the back.
All right, you started with pencil and paper, and when did you transition to electronic media?
That was actually at a job that I had, a pay-stub job, and this is how old I am. I was actually using paste in the pay-stub job. The Big Apple Parents paper, it was about 92 or 93 where they were making the transition to desktop publishing, and they bought their first computer. And in order for me to keep my job, I had to teach myself how to use the computer. It was this page layout program for the most part. But as we went on, we came across Adobe Illustrator and a copy of Adobe Illustrator. And the second I opened it, I just absolutely loved it, and that's what I was doing ever since. So it was really kind of a work-related thing.